guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bayou Chronicles. We're your hosts. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Crystal.
It is the last week of the month, so that means it is local week. Since you are hearing my voice, it means that it is Louisiana week. I hope that gave it away. You know, Crystal would be doing the intro. But Crystal has a story for us today that neither of us even knew was a thing until recently. Before she jumps into today's case, we just want to remind everyone that we have a few pieces of merch left over that we would love to sell in order to get new stuff printed. We're really hoping that we can get a new, maybe logo or maybe a saying. I don't know. We're
Just
open to
like
ideas.
a new thing, like a new shirt print.
Yes. But we have one size small left, literally one small. We have 7 mediums. I think we only sold like one medium. Medium has not been a popular size. We have 3 larges left, 5 extra larges, and we are completely out of extra small and 2X. Mm-hmm. None of those. But once we get rid of those, and I'm actually about to take an extra large to my uncle when we go home, so that knocks one out of the way. We're really excited to make more. It's so crazy that the first round of merch we have is
This low.
dwindling. So get it while you can. I'm just going to pass on over to Crystal. We're not going to do a long intro today. We're just getting right to the nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty. Yeah, like not even 2 minutes in and we're like, hey, here we go.
Yeah,
You cannot complain about us having a long intro. Okay, so I want to give a little shout out first and foremost for Grant, my friend Ainsley's husband, for telling me all about this. He sent me a text message at like 2 a.m. It's actually probably later than that. It's probably like 3 or 4 a.m. And then like immediately next time I saw him said, yeah, I sent that to you. And then was like, I probably sent that too late, but it didn't matter. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. So he sent me 2 cases originally, and this was one of them. And I'll be honest, I had not heard about this. I didn't know this story even existed until I started looking into it, and I actually subscribed to the Ancestry thing where it lets you search through like every newspaper ever. Mm-hmm. I resubscribed to that because, strangely enough, there's not a lot about this event on like just out there. So I had to go through the newspapers and find stuff. So that's what I had to do.
It's dedication.
I had to go through like pages of newspapers from like November 1990 all the way through like December of like 91 and then up to recently. So anyway, so this story takes place in the town of Natchitoches. If you're from the Shreveport area, you probably know where it is. If you're not, if Shreveport is in the northwest corner, Alexandria, Louisiana is right smack dab in the middle of Louisiana. And Natchitoches is like diagonally right in the middle between the two cities. If you hop on 49 and drive south, it's like an hour and a half from Shreveport. Every year they host, in my opinion, one of the coolest Christmas festivals ever. I have not taken Bethany, but since this is her last year here, we're going this year. It is like fireworks, parades, just lights everywhere. Like, it is just the coolest, in my opinion, coolest Christmas. I went a lot growing up, so that's why I really like it a lot. They're also famous for their Natchitoches meat pies, which, again, Bethany didn't know until I said something about that the other day.
I honestly did not. I mean, I've heard about Natchitoches and all of that, but I didn't know they were known for meat pies.
Meat pies are their thing. In fact, when you get off 49, if you get off the interstate, there's this little gas station called the French Market, and to be honest, they're probably not that good. They're probably not the best. But in my head, they're always going to be the best. Like, they taste so good. Like, they're good everywhere. But I don't even like gas station food. But for some reason, this gas station's meat pies are really good.
It
It is so Good. I love it. It's next level. Anyway, so it's also home to Northwestern State University, and most famously, the filming of the movie Steel Magnolias, which, if you're a Southern girl, you've probably seen it. I was not ever really like a huge fan of the movie, but like, I saw it, you know, I knew it existed. If you haven't seen it before, it stars Julia Roberts, Sally Field, Shirley MacLaine, Dolly freaking Parton, Daryl Hannah, and Olympia Dukakis.
It's actually really sad.
It is.
It's actually really sad.
It is very, very sad. Very sad. But it's an all-star cast. For real. All-star cast. In a nutshell, it's the story of Shelby, which the guy who wrote the whole thing, it's based off his sister, and the fact that she has diabetes and...
I don't think a lot of people know that. Yeah. That it's like basically...
based off somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you do. If you didn't know now, you did. One of my favorite Reese Witherspoon movies was actually filmed in Natchitoches as well.
Which one?
Oh God, why'd you ask me?
Because I didn't know.
Jesus.
It's not Sweet Home Alabama.
No, it's not.
She just forgot her favorite movie.
I did. I really did. I was like, dang it, I watched this movie. I literally watched it like 2 months ago too.
Okay, let me Google. You keep going and I'll Google.
It was the first movie she ever starred in. She was 14 years old. It's like something boy or something moon. Boy on the moon. No. Man on the moon. Man on the moon feels really right. Oh, why am I having the worst brain fog when it comes to this movie? Type in Man on the Moon.
I was going to put first movie.
There's probably...
Go on this journey with us.
Yes.
Why did it bring up Legally Blonde? That's not her first movie. The Man in the Moon.
Man in the Moon. Yes, Man on the Moon. Okay, there you go.
I don't know if I've ever seen
it. It is really good.
She was born in New Orleans?
Mm-hmm.
I know. How did I not?
Yes.
I knew she was from... Louisiana, I didn't know it was New Orleans.
So yes, that was one of my favorite movies. I watched it a lot growing up. That's probably why I liked it. And it was sad, and in the movie, this boy that she likes gets run over because he's distracted and gets hung up in a tree and then gets ran over by the tractor that he's using to mow this field, and that scene is etched into my memories, and I don't know why. I really like the movie, but it's a horrible scene. Horrible scene. But it's about to me, it was about sisterly love. Because it was two girls, and they were in love with the same boy, and then the boy obviously dies, and then they have to remember that they're sisters first. So, it's a great movie. Anyway, not to be super distracting, but obviously. Now, since I titled this, Steel Magnolia Murder, or whatever I titled it, we're probably going to be talking about the movie, about Steel Magnolias. And I do have to admit, and, apologize in advance, it is kind of a clickbaity title. When I, wrote this in my head, I was like, this is kind of clickbait.
It's just like our episode, it's been up, exactly a month. Well, a month and 2 days, The Sims Family Murder.
Oh,
it already has over 100 downloads. And it's been up 2 days past a month.
And didn't you say a lot of people were watching it on YouTube?
I uploaded it to our YouTube channel, and I think it already has close to 100 views.
Yes, probably because people think it's actually about Sims.
Us, trying to be clickbait. That's literally the title of it.
No,
it's the Sims Family Murder, and this happened at the Steel Magnolia house. That's what people know it as.
So I'm going to take you into the story. Now, this tragedy did not happen in the big house that Shelby lived in the movie. I thought it did. So that was where I went wrong first.
The little side house or whatever?
No, it wasn't anything to do with that house.
Oh, but what?
Okay, so I thought it did. So I started this by researching the house. So I can tell you everything about that house. I can tell you how many rooms it has. I can tell you about how much it's worth right now. I can tell you about how it's only been through 3 owners, how it's been modernized, how it used to be really close to the road, and then now it's moved back. It used to be a hospital during the Civil War. Some people think that it was part of the Underground Railroad. I can tell you all kinds of cool stuff.
I have heard that.
But it's not this house. It's actually Truvy's house, Dolly Parton's character.
Oh.
The little hair shop.
Okay.
That is where this happened. So it's 453 Henry Boulevard or Henry Avenue. I've seen it both ways. Google Maps, I believe, had it as Henry Avenue. But it's right in Natchitoches, and it's actually right across the river from the other house, the big house. Really.
Yeah, because they have a boathouse or whatever.
It's right
there
across.
on the river.
Yeah,
yeah.
right across. So yeah, that's why I said it's a little bit of a clickbaity title, but the whole movie was filmed in Natchitoches, so the church is everything.
Yeah.
So it's it is a Steel Magnolia murder because arguably Truvy was the best character. I loved her. She was my favorite, but
I heckin' love Shelby, though. I love Shelby.
She was just so dramatic.
She was. I don't know, but I was young. I was maybe 4 or 5 when I watched that movie for the first time, and I was just I love Shelby.
Oh, no, I was a teenager.
And the armadillo cake. That did it for me every time. Because red velvet cake is one of my favorite cakes in the world.
Same.
And I wanted one of those. I joked about it when we got married, and I kind of wanted an armadillo cake with red velvet.
That's hilarious. So the house is big and beautiful. If you've never seen it, 10 out of 10 recommend just looking it up on Zillow. Side note, when someone buys a house or when you see someone's address somewhere, do you immediately go to Zillow or Google Maps to look at their house, or is that just me?
Sometimes. I mean, not all the time, but sometimes
all the time.
if I'm super curious.
All the time. If I have an address, it's already in Zillow because I want to know everything about your house. Anyway, so the house is now painted a pale yellow. To me, from the pictures, it looks like a pale yellow.
I like it, though.
And it's sad. I'm just going to let everybody know this ahead of time. We're going to talk about a little girl. But I actually don't get very, graphically into anything because no one knows for sure what happened, so I cannot tell you anything.
It's basically hearsay.
Yeah, so it's not like the Maddie case.
I just want to warn y'all, the next couple of weeks, this case and the next week, we're talking about a lot of children. I just realized that. And it freaking sucks.
Sorry in
I
advance.
didn't mean for us to have a theme, but apparently there's
Well, we went into that little theme of cannibalism for a second there too.
God. That was partially Crystal. That was partially
That was
Crystal.
100% me.
Oh my
okay.
God. I have this idea and I'm okay, well, it is your week, so go with it. But now I'm still scarred.
Well,
I still can't. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not going there.
Okay, so in November of 1990, Philip Louis DeSelle, so I'm going to say his name, DeSelle, D-E-S-E-L-L-E. Would you say DeSelle or DeSelle? Or DeSally? Doesn't seem like DeSally. DeSelle.
I feel like I would just say DeSelle.
See, I want to say just
DeSelle.
DeSelle. Okay, we're going to say DeSelle.
Okay.
I couldn't find anybody saying his name. I mean, I don't look up.
And even when you go to Google pronunciation, sometimes Google
and
says
then,
it
even
weird.
if I look on, YouTube, is somebody just saying the name?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Anyway, we're going to say DeSelle. So, Philip Louis, sorry, I wanted to say Louis for some reason. DeSelle and his wife, Dottie, lived in this cute little house right on Henry Avenue.
First off, love that name.
Dottie.
That's
I know,
cute.
it's precious. They had lived there for some times, and they were pretty, not well known, but they were pretty well known in their neighborhood, in their community, their immediate community. They had lived there for a while, and Philip actually worked for the city's waterworks. He worked at night, and Dottie worked for the Louisiana School of Math, Science, and Arts, which is basically a boarding school for high schoolers, and I wanted to go, and my mom wouldn't let me.
Oh.
I got in, and she's like, no, I don't want you to go, and so I didn't go. Philip was super well loved in this neighborhood. Neighbors told the Shreveport Times that he would go to church functions, he would help new people move in, he would just help anybody with everything and was super supportive. And if you listen to true crime a lot or watch
those are
crime
the people
stuff,
you watch out for.
those are always how they are. Like, the worst people are, I could have never believed they would do something like that. They were so nice.
Well, there's like 5 bodies hidden in their
Exactly.
house. Yeah.
On November 5th, 1990, 11-year-old Averie Grace Evans would find out just how horrible he was, though. Averie was riding her bike around town. She was selling chocolate bars because she was trying to raise money for a fundraiser. She was, in particular, trying to raise money for the orchestra that she was in junior high, and she actually played the violin. So she was just riding around.
Like, first off, me and Crystal were wrong. We kept calling this the Girl Scout cookie episode, and then we found out she wasn't selling Girl Scout cookies; it was chocolate bars.
So it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know. In my mind, automatically.
I don't know why.
Automatically, if there's a girl at a door,
it's Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, either way, she was selling chocolate, and I'm pretty sure we all know what kind of chocolate she was selling. You cannot tell me she was not selling the Great American,
whatever ones.
Yeah, America's Greatest. Those are the best, though. It made me want like a caramel one. So
I always got the caramel or the almond ones.
Always got the caramel ones. Hard stop. Like, if they didn't have caramel, I didn't want it.
When I was in high school, our band always sold it to, like, as their fundraiser thing, and they knew to just come to my classroom. I was gonna buy, like, most of them.
I'm gonna buy them all.
Me and Zach would clear them out. They just,
literally when I see someone do that, I was like, I have $20. Do you have 20 caramels?
Yeah.
And I'm like, just give them to me.
I've dropped to 10 before. Yeah. Just take the whole.
Just give them to me.
Now.
Just give them.
Now.
So she was going around selling chocolate bars, and if anybody in the neighborhood was like Bethany and I, she's probably making bank. Cause if someone came and knocked on my door and said, I'm selling chocolate, I'd be like,
whatever she needed funded was funded.
Yeah, it was funded. Mm-hmm. So Averie was riding her bike, and she was last seen wearing black jeans, a black sweater, and a blue jean vest. If that didn't sound like a 90s outfit.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I probably had an outfit
probably
like
did.
that.
Probably did. And she was riding, and get this, a pink and purple bicycle. Just so cute. Just adorable. And she had long blonde hair. Oh, God. So I feel like it was such a vibe. And she was like typical 90s preteen girl riding her bike, selling chocolate.
She's probably in a commercial or something.
Yes. Yeah. In my head, it plays like a commercial. So Averie had just left her friend's house on Stevens Avenue, like really close to Stevens and 5th Avenue, and said that she was headed home to her house on Shady Lane. That's where her family lives.
Can you imagine living on a street named that?
That's
awful.
That's my original email address, Shady Lane.
Shady Lane.
And the only reason why is because there was this TV show when I was like 12, 13, and it was a Canadian TV show where they had a group of high schoolers that were disc jockeys, and they all had like little names, and one of the girls' names was Shady Lane, and I loved the show, and so I made it my email address, and so I've had that email address since I was like 12.
It's wild.
I still use that email.
It's wild.
So that's where she was going. She was going home to Shady Lane. This was around 4:30 in the afternoon. So it would have been getting dark because it's daylight savings. Mm-hmm. So, and this would be the last time that she was seen. When she didn't return home, her mother Joanne called the police, and her husband Rick, Averie's father, who was away at work in Monroe about 2 hours away. So, for over a month after she disappeared, there were absolutely no clues about, where she was. There was no clues as to where she ended up going. She just disappeared. Said that she was going home, and then no one ever saw her again. Nothing. Just completely disappeared. Rick and Joanne knew that their daughter did not just run away. And I will also say in this moment too, one of these people is her step-parent, but I don't know which one because in any of the newspaper articles, I couldn't figure it out. The reason I know that, and I'm assuming that, is because later on I'm going to mention it, but a newspaper article says that she shared the home with her sister and stepsister.
Okay.
So either
that could be either.
Either one of these people is her step parent, or the stepsister is older than all of them, and she is biologically their child, and the stepsister is just from the husband's previous marriage. Yeah. So I don't know. They didn't go into family details, so I don't know about all that. But just they may be her biological parents, or one of them may be a step parent. I think personally that they're probably both her biological parents because of something that happens later on, but I don't know. So they knew she didn't run away, and the reason they knew that is because right after she went missing, they ended up reading her diary. And in her diary, she talks a lot about how she's excited for stuff that's coming up. She's writing about stuff that she wants to do in the future and how she's excited about doing stuff in the future. So they just kind of got the feeling she's 11.
She hadn't been out selling chocolate bars all day. If you're going to run away, wouldn't you just run away?
Yeah,
leave the house?
Exactly. Why are you going to, it didn't make sense. And so they knew she did not run away. Someone took her. They just knew that. Well, on December 13th, so, a month and a few days after she went missing, the FBI actually conducted a search of the family home on Shady Lane, trying to, I just had to throw that in there again, trying to search for as many leads as possible. And during this time, though, the FBI had subjected the family to all kinds of interrogations. They were, giving them lie detector tests, putting them in interrogation booths for several hours. They were hardcore going at this family. Wow. And the family was concerned by it all because they felt like it made them look like they were suspects or they did something bad. But the FBI was telling them that the reason they were doing it is because a majority of missing children cases link back to the family.
I was going to say they have to eliminate the family first.
So they said that's why they were going so hard at them.
That's like if you were to go missing, the first person interviewed would be
Tyler. Yeah, it's always your husband.
Your spouse first.
Yeah, always your husband. Now, one thing that they did ask the family to do that everyone felt was a little strange was they asked them to submit a handwriting sample. Okay. So, according to the FBI, a couple of weeks after Averie went missing, the local police department actually received a letter in the mail. And it would eventually be revealed closer to the trial that this letter was a confession to killing Averie. So, now you're probably wondering, who's this Philip DeSalle character I introduced at the beginning? The day that Averie went missing, she immediately left her friend's house and said that she was heading home. In order to head home, she has to pass the house of Philip DeSalle. And Philip was someone that she knew very well, that always bought her candy when she was coming to sell it, and would always buy a lot of her candy, and always took the time to be nice to her and her sisters. So, in my head, she thinks, I can just get one more person. Yeah. On my way home, I can stop. Probably a little business savvy mind.
Well, he's always been nice.
Always been nice. Business savvy little 11-year-old trying to make money for the orchestra. Let me hit this one person up. Just one more person. It's dark. I'm on my way home. Probably knew exactly where she was. Yeah. And knew how to get home, even in the dark.
I'll hit him up real quick and
head home.
Yeah.
So, a month later, on January 16th, so now it's about 2.5 months since she's been missing, police announced, or the FBI rather, announced that they were going to start a search of the DeSoto Parish landfill. And no one knew why. If you look at all the newspaper articles during this time, no one knew why. It was just, it literally went from articles of people saying they're still looking for this girl, the family's house is being searched, to next day, they're searching the landfill. Like, we went like point A to B very quick. There was no in between.
Wow.
Now, they said openly they were going to be searching for Averie Evans, and in the same article, they announced that 41-year-old Philip DeSalle was arrested in connection, but only on charges of kidnapping and suspected death. This is all the information you're getting. Is kidnapping and suspected death.
I don't know how they went from nothing to this, dude. It's wild.
So, without a body, they could not prove anything.
I hate that rule. I mean, I get it, but also it's a stupid rule.
Mm-hmm. So, the day before he was arrested, DeSalle actually tried to kill himself.
Okay. I mean,
so,
that's not that uncommon.
He knew people were closing in, and to be honest, I will say, I was never able to find out, and I know this is going to be frustrating because it's frustrating for me. I was never able to find out how police went from not knowing who he was to knowing who he was.
That's what I want to know. It's like, we have this letter in the mail. We have all this.
Bear with me, and at the end we'll talk about it a little bit. So it's going to feel kind of like there's a big hole missing. Just acknowledge that there's a hole. There's a donut of information that I'm giving you, and there's a hole in the middle, and unfortunately that hole isn't going to get filled, but it's just because I couldn't find the answer.
Giggity.
Shut up. Oh my God.
I'm lightening the mood.
Okay. Anyway. So, he basically slit his wrist.
Oh God.
And was like, and left a suicide note, and I'll read that later because that's relevant later. But yeah, he tried to kill himself. For weeks though, after they arrested him, the FBI continued to search this landfill, and I mean, they literally searched it like inch by inch. Like, they were digging up. They even had a guy come out there who claimed that he could use this pendulum to like find her, and like he'd been known of finding like water and oil, and so he said that he could come out there and find her body. He never found her body.
Y'all can't see me, but I rolled my eyes. So
you can't find her body. I feel like Bethany is like, you believe to the, like, extreme in paranormal stuff. Like, you know it's there, but then, like, at the same time, you're like, these people are shams.
Yeah. Well, it's because, like, you don't have to be extreme like that to, like, I don't know. But, like, you will not catch me out there with oil and whatever.
Let me do my little pendulum.
No.
Not happening.
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
And I'm not even saying that some people aren't legit with it, but I think that medium, that Tyler guy, the medium, have you seen him? He's like 21. He's pretty young. He has a TV show, and I watched it. I started the first half of it thinking that 100% of him was real. And then the second half of it, I was like, maybe he's just reading up on body language really well. But then by the end of it, I also just don't know. So then I kept flip-flopping. But if anyone knows who I'm talking about, look him up. The show's good. He like does celebrities, like readings for celebrities.
I'm gonna have to look him up now because I don't know. You see him on TikTok or something?
No, I found him. He's like on, the show is on like HBO or it's on Hulu.
You think he's legit? Or?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I started it thinking that he was, and then I was like, I don't feel like it.
It's really tough with TV shows because you don't know. Those are paid actors. You don't know.
Well, these were celebrities.
Okay.
And, cause like he's apparently like famous among celebrities. But then like at the same time, the further I got on, I was like, well, maybe he is kind of legit. Cause I mean, I legit believe that there are some mediums who are 100% legit. It's just hard to find.
It's just a lot of TV shows are not real.
Yeah. I don't know. Watch the show and then tell me what you think. Cause I honestly don't have an opinion. Like I don't know. I'll find it. No, his name is Tyler. And it's him and his mom. His mom, like, just does a lot of stuff for him. And he has a boyfriend that's really supportive, I think. And that helps them, like, travel and stuff. And he doesn't really do a whole lot of big shows or anything. Because he says that it's a lot for him to, like, channel that, like, night after night after night. And so it just is very exhausting for him. And so he only does, like, very little. I don't know. It was very interesting. Very interesting. I'll find it for you though. But this guy said that he'd go out there and he didn't find anything. Shocking. Now, understandably, the family and the community were incredibly angry about the fact that this man is arrested and they don't know where this child is, and everyone just is assuming that the child is dead because he's on this charge for suspected death. So literally within days, someone spray painted the side of his house with child killer.
Y'all are not helping when y'all do that. Like, I know you think you are, but
you're not.
That's extra.
It is. It's a little bit extra.
Especially if it came back and that dude really didn't do anything. Then you are looking goofy that you painted something on somebody's house.
Painted child killer. And then, he obviously, after he's arrested, he got out on bail.
More than likely, yeah.
So
they didn't have any hard evidence.
Yes, he was at home. And one night, in a drunken rage, Averie's father, Rick, was arrested for breaking into the DeSalle's house.
Oh, God.
And he claimed that he only wanted to take a look at him, and like he just wanted to see him, because he had never been shown a picture, and he just wanted to see what the man that did this to his child looked like.
I mean, I can't blame
him for that either. And even in the article that was written, the wife said, like, do you blame him? He's angry. He's mad.
Did he not have to spend any time in the hospital for trying to commit suicide?
He did. He did have to have surgery on his wrist, because apparently they were that bad.
Oh, God.
So, anyway, over 3 months later, when she went missing, police were finally able to locate her bicycle in a nearby lake. A search of the lake revealed that Averie was not there, and it was just her bicycle. So they did find her bicycle. So that's a big clue. That's like, your bicycle just doesn't end up in the lake.
Yeah. But somebody could.
I mean, either she threw it in there, or someone threw it in there, you know? Once court proceedings started, they were almost immediately halted by the lack of DeSalle's ability to provide a handwriting sample due to his suicide attempt. Like, he couldn't write, and they needed a signature in cursive, and apparently he couldn't write because of his wrist. Seems like a cop-out, but I guess I could understand if your wrist hurt, and like you're not going to get an accurate writing sample, and that's what the prosecutor's the one who asked for it and said, hey, I want an accurate sample. I cannot get it if his hands are not usable, basically. Despite admitting that he wrote the letter, he claimed that he did not kill Averie. However, the letter that he admitted to writing claimed that he burned all of the evidence, and it also talked about what she was wearing and specifics about the jewelry that she had on. So, he didn't kill her, but he burned all the evidence and talked about the clothes and jewelry she had on. Over time, though, more and more contents of the letter and statements made by DeSalle were released. I could never find the entire letter in its entirety. I couldn't find it published anywhere. If someone else out there finds it, please let me know. It was also discovered that was when it was discovered that the relationship between Averie and DeSalle, like the connection of him selling her candy and that was when they were able to get a search warrant from his house. In an affidavit given to the police, her sister and her stepsister said, or relayed to them, that Averie had at one point said that he was very, very nice to her, and that she considered him a good customer, but that he kind of creeped her out when he asked for her phone number and address.
Okay.
So I don't know why a 40-year-old man needs a 11-year-old's phone number or an address, but there's not a reason. Sorry, there's not. There's not a reason. During his trial, he ended up changing his plea to guilty, and the letter that he wrote was read out loud to the court. Now obviously this was really hard for his family, for her family to hear. And again, like, I couldn't find anything in like particular about like what was in the letter. Like, there was like little bits and pieces, but I couldn't find the whole letter.
Like, they didn't want to release it fully to
I'm
the public.
guessing. I couldn't find it. Not like his suicide letter that he wrote when he tried to attempt suicide. Like, that was posted in the newspaper, but this wasn't.
Not to be mean, but like, why do we care about that?
Well,
more than...
Well, I'll read it to you. In the letter that he wrote admitting to killing her, he says, and I quote, "I enticed her into my kitchen." Oh, hold on. Let me go back. Let me read this other important part first. He wrote that, quote, that his conscience was bothering him regarding his activity and he needed to tell someone. Then says, "I enticed her into the kitchen by telling her that I wanted to buy some candy. When she came into the kitchen, I struck her. I subsequently killed her by choking her." That's what he says. He goes on to explain how he put her body in a bag, drove out to the lake where her bike was found. He put the bike in the lake and her body in the dumpster nearby, which is why the FBI were looking at the landfill. They were tracking where that trash went, and they knew that it ended up in the DeSoto Parish landfill, so that's why they were searching there. Now, lawyers at the time, the prosecution did believe that the crime was sexually motivated, but because of his plea deal, they never had any time to like introduce that evidence. They actually had some testimonies prepared for from a couple of girls who said that he had like made advances to them, and so they were going to use that as proof of like some kind of like sexually motivated whatever. In the end, though, they don't have any evidence still that proves that he did it. They only have his confession. So this is one of the first cases, if not, I think it actually may have been the first. No, it wasn't the first. It was going to be the first case that was going for the death penalty without an actual body. But because he took the plea deal, that didn't happen.
And we've said it a million times, the plea deal is so stupid.
I hate plea deals. But anyway, they just have his confession to go on. Now, nothing was found in his house when they executed a search warrant. Absolutely nothing was in his house that suggested that Averie had ever even been in his house. Like, they had absolutely nothing. In the end, though, he was sentenced to 50 years in prison, but was eligible for parole in 17 years. So 50 years in prison, but he was eligible for parole in 17. After his trial, they ended up releasing his suicide note. And this is what I will read, because they didn't release the other one, but they did release the suicide note. It says, oh, and this is also weird, and I'll be honest, I didn't research this the way that I wanted to, because I wanted to be able to write down like everybody's name. But this suicide note is addressed to a man named Lynn, and if I'm not mistaken, Lynn is the FBI agent in charge. So I don't know, remember this hole that we were talking about? I don't know how they connected to him, why they put pressure on him. And I don't know that. Because, sometimes you can find, like, the court documents, like, where they, like, go to the Supreme Court, like the Louisiana Supreme Court to, like, get their charges or whatever. Yeah. You'll have court stuff. I could not find any of this.
Okay.
So I don't know how they connected this letter that they received to him. I have no idea. If someone else says, please tell me. But I have no idea. I couldn't find anything. But it says, Lynn, I know this is a tragic end to a sad story, but I knew a long time ago it would end this way. I really can't explain what happened because I don't understand it myself. It shocked me so much that I had almost blocked it out completely out of my mind. It wasn't the fear of facing the judge, going to prison, or what the community thought, so much as the pain of hurting Dottie and losing her forever, that I did not want to admit my crime. But in reality, I would lose any way I went. I just took the chicken's way out. I ask 2 favors of you. Please keep as much of this out of the news as possible to help protect Dottie. Randy Williams, a city policeman, lives next door. Ask him to keep an eye on her. And second, you're a good talker. Please come talk to Dottie and try to ease her mind some. Thanks. I did not lie when I said I didn't know where Averie was now, but I do know where she was last, in a dumpster at the public boat launch at Oak Grove Road across the street from the store. She was put in a large plastic bag, tied at top with a nylon cord. Sorry to make life so difficult for you. Philip. And then he signed in cursive underneath, thanks for giving me the choice. I don't know what any of that means.
Keep it out of the public. And you know how the media is. Anything that a killer does, they're immediately going to slap all over the news.
Yes. So, I will say this. Positive change kind of came out of this. Just a month and a half after she disappeared, the Natchitoches School Board banned any type of door-to-door sales for K through 12 students from happening. Like, absolutely none.
I actually remember when that happened when I was a kid, too, because, like, when we had any type of fundraiser, it was like, make sure your parents were with you. Don't go door to door.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I remember being able to do it, and then I don't remember being able to, like, being told to stop doing it. But, yeah, apparently a month and a half after, they had, like, an emergency vote where they said, nope,
like
no more of this.
packets they would send you on, like, tell them, and then they were like, but make sure you don't go door to door. So I remember that, too. That was probably like 2000.
Then he was like, how are you supposed to fundraise?
Yeah. I normally would hit up like all my family members, and then I would hit up church.
I would hit up church. I'd hit up every family member. And then since my parents had a gas station, I always put the stuff like right out front. Like, you want to buy this? You want to buy this?
Send it with my mom to her job, and she would ask all the ladies in her office and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's what we do too. Anyway. So, we're going to fast forward to January 2015.
Okay.
Philip DeSalle was released from prison.
Okay.
While he is on parole, he will have to wear an ankle monitor, and he will be classified as a child predator. He has a curfew of 6 p.m. He cannot leave Evangeline Parish without permission. He ended up spending just about 24 years in prison, so 24 of the 50. And he will be on supervised parole until 2040. At which time, he will be 72.
How old is he right now? How old was
he was 41
when
it happened. And it's been 30 years. So, 50. Oh, he'll be 80.
Okay.
Too.
It's crazy.
Anyway, he'll be old but not decrepit. Maybe he'll die before then. He earned this release because of good behavior time, like good time, because he was on his best behavior.
How do you have good behavior when you killed somebody? I don't understand these laws.
Like, I can understand, like, if this was the third time you got caught trying to sell weed and you got out on good behavior.
Or, like, burglary or something.
Yes.
Not, like, murder.
Murder, we don't get good
Murder.
But now he lives in Alexandria, Louisiana.
That's not that far from us at all.
No. Settled down. It's like 2 hours away. Settled down. I don't know what he does. You can find his address online, though. No, I meant, like, settled down as in, like, settled into a house.
Settled down, I think, get married. So.
No. I just know he lives in Alexandria, and he cannot be within, like, a certain distance of, like, kids and schools and all that kind of fun stuff. But, yeah.
What about Dottie? Nothing
I can find it. After she is mentioned in the first thing when he's first arrested, nothing about her. I'm assuming she dropped him. I'm assuming.
I mean, I'm not gonna dig into her because maybe she just wants to, like, that's a lot. That's a lot to be married to somebody. I mean, he had never done anything before. Like, never got...
As far as I know, no.
I just want to know what, like...
Well, he says he, like, blacked out, but I want to know how we went from a letter being sent to the police department, how they connected it from... There's this letter to this is the person who did it. I couldn't find that anywhere.
He said his neighbor was a police officer. Maybe his neighbor had a little idea that he was a little off. Or knew that Averie stopped by his house.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They never said anything about that. Because like I said, I had to find everything that I needed to find out about this case. I had to find it through the newspaper. There was like a couple of articles, but they mostly talked about the fact that he was getting released, and they just gave like the basic TLDR version of everything. And I was like, okay, well that doesn't help me. So that's when I started doing the newspapers and found out what I found. Like, I didn't even know his wife's name because nobody even mentioned that he was married until I happened to look up there. Like, no one mentioned anything.
Media doesn't care about anything except the killer themselves.
Like, I didn't even know about the father being arrested for breaking in. Like, that wasn't mentioned anywhere. The fact that she played violin, that she was, all it said was she was selling candy. And I was like, well, selling candy for what? What is she selling candy for? And that's how I found out that she was a violin player and that she had a diary and that.
You really have to dig deep for, like, people that are killed.
Yeah. And,
how is suicide note is you had the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
And he himself said the note, don't put this in the papers.
Yes. And in that note was the one that was the suicide note, not the note that he had sent admitted that he killed her. So.
It's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
So, yeah, there's like I said, there's a big giant hole in the middle of the whole thing that is not answered for me, and I want to know the answer of how they connected those two dots. But I felt like I looked at every single newspaper article from the time she went missing. Like, literally the first article with her name just says, it's like this big. And it just says, 11-year-old girl, last seen, riding her bike, selling cookies, leaving a friend's house. And then it just spirals from there.
I just have a feeling his neighbor probably was the one that
Maybe.
was like, hey, I know she stops by his house often.
Yeah.
You know, for these fundraisers.
I don't know, this is very interesting.
I don't know, though. That's weird.
But yeah, a lot of people were upset, like neighbors and stuff that were local interviewed. Well, they were upset about that, but they were also, well, this seems petty, but they were also upset about the fact that the house they lived in was popular because of Steel Magnolias, and they're like, now the fact that a young girl was murdered there, they felt like they felt like it completely overshadowed it. And they were like, it lost the appeal of like them wanting to see the house because it was like the Steel Magnolia house and there was something special about it. And now it's like,
and it probably brought them in tourism. It probably helped their town flourish.
Yeah. And so now they're like, this is just where a little girl died. So
it's sad, but I kind of get where they're coming from.
Yeah,
because it sucks.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the newspaper that they interviewed after, a lot of people were talking about how they would go over to the guy's house a lot. Like, one neighbor said that her daughter had to go up to therapy for it because she spent so much time over there at their house, at his house, and she would always invite him to like church functions, and he would come to like their church pageants and stuff that she would put on at church, and he helped her move when she went to college, and like helped her, like was like a huge part of her life growing up, and then
that does suck. Yeah,
this happened. So yeah,
it's crazy how you can go 40 years doing like no speeding tickets, no nothing, to straight up killing somebody. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he'd had a past. It didn't say anything about it, and I feel like they would have.
They would have. I feel like, yeah.
They would have said something. But, yeah. Sorry, I don't know where this yawn came from. I apologize if I made you yawn.
I was about to say, I guarantee a couple people listening just yawned themselves.
I am so sorry. But yeah, that's all I got for today's episode of... I don't know. I guess I'm going to call it the Steel Magnolia murder.
Or something.
Truvy's house murder. But no one's going to get that. Like, unless you know who Truvy is.
You'll probably have to label it Steel Magnolia.
See, that's why I said it's going to be a clickbait title. But, I'm not going to put all my sources for this one. I'm just going to put Shreveport Times in the comments, because there was a lot of articles and I don't really feel like finding every single one of them again. And like literally typing out in MLA format the sources.
Terrible about putting sources, but a lot of mine come from YouTube, so. And I mentioned most of my sources in my episodes.
Just like on YouTube. And I said, look
at this channel.
I literally said at the beginning, the Shreveport Times.
Yeah.
And there was not a single thing that I just mentioned that was not in the Shreveport Times. So. There we go. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good day, good week. It's the beginning of June. It's summertime. So that means put sunscreen on and make sure you reapply and don't get skin cancer. Take a look at those moles. If they look suspicious, if they are like jagged around the edges or raised or they got bigger lately, get them checked out, man. We do not want skin cancer. If you're going outside, do not go outside and just lay out in the sun without any kind of protection. Don't do that. Do you want to have old, nasty, wrinkly skin?
I was going to say, besides skin cancer, you get wrinkly, you get crow's feet, you get...
No, we don't want
all
that.
Kinds of
we
stuff.
Don't want that. You got tattoos, put some SPF 70 on them things.
I spent too much money for this to be messed up in the sun.
Yeah, you like reapply liberally with SPF 70, the highest thing you can get. And drink water. Be hydrated. You sweat a lot in the heat, especially if you're down south where it's really humid and you don't even realize you're sweating as much as you are because it's just wet.
Crystal's saying all this when we're about to be in Florida,
I know.
where it's hot as heck.
I hate it. I hate heat. I hate heat so bad. I hate the sun. I hate hot. I hate it all. It's disgusting.
I'm a spring gal, where it's not hot, but it's also not super cold.
Okay, I lied. I like the sun, but I like the sun when it doesn't feel like it's trying to cook me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how the sun makes me feel. Makes me feel happy. But then when it's like aggressively trying to make me feel happy because it's trying to cook me the inside out, I don't like that. I don't
like summer, but also I hate winter. I hate being cold. I hate being cold.
Winter's my favorite.
Even though it is easier to bundle up than it is to get naked, because that's kind of frowned upon.
Well, you also can only get so naked. Like,
yeah, I know.
You can literally lay there with nothing and it's still hot. And
Let me take the skin off.
You can't do it. But if you're cold, you can say, give me one more jacket, one more pair of socks.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah.
So yeah, take care of yourself, drink water, and the entire 2 weeks that we are in Florida, I will be officially starting my training for a 10K. So if I come back completely dehydrated, you'll know why. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can convince Bethany to just stand on the sideline and go, yay.
Oh, I will.
She's like, I ain't doing it.
But I'll be like Rebel Wilson from... was Pitch Perfect. Don't put me down for cardio.
Look, I'm still regretting the fact that Ainsley convinced me to sign up for it, but she literally just like, I didn't even second guess it. She's like, do you want to run a Tiger 10K that ends at the 50-yard line of LSU football stadium? And I'm like, cool, yeah, let's do it. And then she's like, do you want to do the 5K or the 10K? And I was like, go big or go home.
See, that's where Crystal crazy. Don't put me down for none of that.
Then I will tell you this funny story about it. When I was signing up, it asks you to guess how much time it's going to take you. It's like, just because they have a little thing. And so I was like, dude, I'm so slow. I was like 15 minutes a mile, because a 10K is like 6.2 miles or something. And I was like 15 minutes a mile. That's like a brisk walk. I can do that. Okay. So after that, I go to the Instagram page. The woman winner, the female winner from last year, ran the 10K and finished in 38 minutes.
What? No, that can't be right.
38 minutes.
That can't be right.
I did the math.
That can't be right.
And it's like she did like a 6.5 minute mile. The male winner won it in like 31 minutes.
Hands down, I'd have 1 mile down in 38 minutes.
That's why I said 15. I said 15 because I was like, because I know now, when I was trying to help my sister-in-law, like, push herself to run however much she was supposed to run, I did like 1.5 miles. And when I hit my mile mark, it was like 18 minutes. And I died. I was dying. And so I was like, you know what? I was like, I think I could work to like 15. 15 sounds like a good group. And I said, when I saw that, I was like, this girl is going to be there again. And she's going to be at home, showered, in bed, watching Netflix by the time I cross over.
Yeah. No.
38 minutes.
No.
That's so I have zero motivation. I am not a motivated person. So I'm going to use the first 12 weeks to try to get to the 10K status. And then the other 12 weeks to improve my speed.
Okay.
So when I end up walking the entire thing, because I haven't done any kind of training.
You still finish it, walking.
I'll still finish it. But yeah, that's all I got. So check back for how I do with my 10K. But if anyone has tips, please give them to me. But yeah, that's all we got. Y'all have a good week. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. That's
all
I got.
Bye.